In Margin Call, Peter Sullivan uncovers a flaw in the company's risk model. His discovery shows that their firm is on the brink of collapse. This information triggers all executives, and they all end up in a meeting with the CEO, John Tuld. Now, Tuld is not the guy who's book smart, but he is street smart. In the movie, even before we see Tuld, we kind of know about him, and he's the smartest of them all. Because Jared warns Will and the others to just tell the truth, and says nobody's smarter than Tuld, including the rocket scientist. But when Peter starts explaining the main problem, Tuld says to him, "Explain in simple language and consider him as a young child or a golden retriever. It wasn't brains that got me here, I assure you that." This one dialogue from the meeting should give you the idea that Jared was right and Tuld is the smartest person in that room. This tactic is usually used by people at the top, and it is known as strategic self-deprecation. It is when someone in power deliberately downplays their intelligence or authority to disarm others or control the room, or to avoid responsibility and sometimes shift pressure away from themselves. But in Tuld's case, it was to disarm Peter Sullivan, to make him more comfortable. So he speaks more freely and gives more honest answers. With the second part of the dialogue, "It wasn't brains that got me here," Tuld is not saying he is unintelligent. Instead, he's making a distinction between two very different kinds of intelligence. Peter Sullivan and the other analysts have the academic type of intelligence. They're the ones who can build the models and analyze the data. Tuld, on the other hand, represents a different kind of intelligence. He is a survivor, a strategist, and a predator. He got to the top not by being the best at math, but by being the best at making hard, often amoral, decisions under pressure. His intellect is in his experience, his instinct, and his utter lack of hesitation. He has seen market cycles before, and he knows that to survive, you can't be held back by moral doubts or endless analysis. A similar tactic is used by many smart people in real life. Like Steve Jobs, who used to say, "If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then you do not understand it yourself." Anyways, when Peter starts explaining the actual problem, he says that all the MBS they hold are losing value and they are highly leveraged, so the losses will be huge, and it started to happen 2 weeks ago. Tuld says, "So are you telling me that the music is about to stop and we will be holding these bad MBS?" Then Peter clarifies that the music is slowing down and it's not stopped. If it were about to stop, then their firm would have been in a much worse situation. Tuld then says that his job is to figure out what the music is going to do today and in the future, and says that it has already stopped because he doesn't hear anything and there's only silence.
I'm here to guess what the music might do a week, a month, a year from now. That's it, nothing more. And standing here tonight, I'm afraid that I don't hear a thing, just silence.
By the way, to simplify, if you did not get it, music here means making money from trading the MBS while their prices go up. As long as the prices go up, they make profits, meaning the music is playing. When the music is stopped, the MBS assets are losing value, confidence in the market is vanishing, and no one wants to buy those MBS anymore. As their firm was suffering losses from the previous 2 weeks, Tuld was smart enough to gauge the market situation quickly and concluded that the music had stopped and turned to Jared and said, "Now that the music is stopped, tell me the next plan."
So now that we know the music has stopped, what can we do about it? To go, Ms. Robertson.
At this point, Tuld's smartness comes to work. His vast experience in the finance world lets him figure out and anticipate very quickly that the MBS will be losing value. On top of that, he knew that their firm's numbers do not add up. Jared and Tuld say it many times in the movie.
I mean, the numbers, they just don't add up anymore.
I agree with you there. I've been saying that for years.
What they mean by that numbers don't add up is that in a healthy market, 2 + 2 = 4 represents the basic, dependable assumptions that everyone operates on, that the risk is predictable and a firm's assets have a stable value. However, the subprime mortgages were bundled into complex MBS assets, and when the underlying homeowners started to default, the entire value of those assets evaporated. The old rules no longer applied. Instead of a predictable outcome, the system produced a catastrophic loss. Sam and other executives also had a gut feeling that something was wrong and informed Tuld over the years that the MBS valuation was wrong. but Tuld did not care, as they were making huge profits by trading those MBS. But Peter Sullivan's discovery gave them hard mathematical evidence to confirm Sam's long-held suspicions. Knowing all this information and the backing of Peter Sullivan's discovery made Tuld come to a conclusion that the MBS are worthless. And the fact that every other firm in the market was holding similar MBS meant that once the information was out, the chaos would begin. If the junior analyst in his firm can figure that out, then it won't be very long before someone at other firms figures out the same thing. Tuld knew that other firms were also leveraged like theirs. If potential losses of his firm are more than the current market capitalization, then other firms will be in the same situation. So he anticipates that scenario of chaos where everyone is trying to sell and there are no buyers of MBS in the market. When that happens, then MBS value will tank faster than anything, and they will be holding those bad assets. Some of you might wonder why Tuld even held the meeting in the first place. If he knew everything, why didn't he just give the order to sell? Tuld held the meeting for strategic reasons. First, he needed to confirm the exact scale of the problem from Peter's model. He knew the situation was bad, but he needed the specific numbers to form his plan. Second, the meeting was a display of power and control. As CEO, he had to take charge. He wasn't there for a democratic debate, he was there to give a direction. He listened to what his team had to say, but his mind was already made up. He needed to get his senior executives on board and manage their resistance to his brutal plan. By gathering everyone together, he could force them to face the problem and understand that their only option was to follow his orders. After the meeting, Tuld says to Sam, "Most of the street is not going to make it out of it." Sam replies, "You are obviously operating with more information than me." Sam might have realized that Tuld's knowledge is on a completely different level. This information wasn't in any document or spreadsheet. It was Tuld's ability to combine all the data, all his decades of experience, and his cynical worldview into a single, undeniable conclusion. He saw the entire market as a house of cards, and he was the one who knew exactly when it was time to pull a card out. While Sam was focused on his job, Tuld was focused on the entire game. So overall, Tuld knew for years what the problem was with the MBS, and the crash was coming, but he kept going as long as profits were coming in. He didn't need Peter's model to prove that the market was flawed. Deep down, he already knew that. The model simply provided the final piece of evidence that the music was about to stop for good. His intelligence allowed him to see the problem not just as numbers, but as a fatal flaw in the entire game. This is why Peter was still debating the timing of the music stopping. Tuld says, "The music has stopped and I don't hear a thing." He doesn't hear the music of the normal market anymore because, in his mind, the game is already over. The silence he hears is the moment of panic and realization that is about to sweep across Wall Street. He's no longer thinking about what is happening, but what is about to happen. Tuld did his job perfectly of guessing what the music will do in the future, and this is the reason he's the big boss and CEO of the firm. If you want to know exactly how the 2008 crisis happened, then check out this video where I explained the crisis from start to end.